So today we'll be looking at one of our complex project, something that we'll be building from scratch and then using quite a lot of things that we have learned before. But before doing that, I'd like to introduce you to something called as parcelable. Now this is very important topic and is used quite a lot and we'll be also using in our project. Now Android developer often face an issue while passing object references to activities of whether to go with Java serialization method or Android parcelable method. So there are two different available. One is with Java, but one is with Android. Now, passing primitive data types from one activity to another, like string, integer, float, etc., through intents is quite easy in Android. All you do is like put extra and it's available. And with the unique key that you pass in intents, and it's much more easier. If a user wants to send Java objects through intent, Java class should be implemented using the parcelable interface because that's the optimized, better version available. Serialization, on the other hand, is a Java interface that allows users to implement the interface which gets marked as serializable. So, during the Android application development process, we often have to send Java objects from one activity to another activity using intent. We can opt for one of the two types that are available. One is serialization or parcelable of the object. Both will work perfectly fine. The fact that parcelable is much faster than serialization makes it a preferred choice for us. But let's look at some of the differences, specifically with implementation. Now, Android parcelable implementation allows objects to read and write from parcels, which can be from parcels which can contain flattened data inside message containers. If a developer wants to convert a Java object into parseable, then the best way to do is by implementing the parcelable interface and overriding the write to parcel method in its own class. The first step is to override the write to parcel method and write all the object members into parcel objects. The second is to create a static parcelable dot creator object to deserialize the Java object, and that is something that we'll look at in the next slide a little bit in more detail. But parcelable and serial are used for marshalling and unmarshalling Java objects. That's their pretty much basic use in our code. Differences between the two are often cited around implementation techniques and performance results. Some of the common differences would be, let's say, parcelable is well documented in Android SDK. Serialization, on the other hand, is available in Java. It is for this reason, very reason, that Android developers often prefer parcelable over serialization technique. In parcelable, developers write custom code for marshalling and unmarshalling, so it creates less garbage objects in comparison to serializable. Now, serialization. The performance of parcelable over serialized dramatically improves around, I would say, two times faster because of its custom implementation. Serialization is a marker interface, which implies the use cannot marshal the data so the user cannot marshal the data according to their requirements. In serializer, marshalling operation is performed on a Java virtual machine using the Java Reflection API. This helps identify the Java object members and behavior, but also ends up creating a lot of garbage objects. Due to this, the serialized process is slow in comparison to parcelable, and end of the day we'll be using parcelable. So this is something that we'll be using in our project. So let me show you a little bit more how do a model class implementing that implements parcelable. So first of all, whatever your model class name is custom, you can just say implement parcelable. Then you have to implement couple of methods. First one is just to describe the contents. You can leave this empty. Then write to parcel. This is where you can write the objects that are there inside the parcel for the particular object. So that's why destination to try to string array, and it flattens all the objects inside this particular parcel. Now other methods that are important are custom object. So this is the custom object declaration, and then parcelable.creator. Now failure to add results in the following exception is protocol requires a passive object called creator on the class. So this will, if you don't add this, it will create this object. This is usually used to kind of create the parcelable instance of it. So that's some of the basics of parcelable, but you'll understand better when we actually implement it. So how do you pass the object using intent? So intent, new intent, then you give your put extra as custom object, and then inside that you can pass your custom object to it and make sure this custom object is parcelable. Receiving, you can just say get parcelable extra and give the key value of that, and that's where you can use the entire object however you want to use it. So this is a basic explanation of parcelable, but what we'll be doing is we'll be creating a local search project, and in using this search project we'll see how to use parcelable inside a project. So what I want to do is I want to use my favorite API, YQL API. So you can go to the YQL website, and I'm going to go to the local search API. What this local search API does is I'm going to use JSON, no diagnostics, and say test, and this is the URL that I'm going to use. This URL returns back bunch of locations, like let's say if I'm searching for zip code, this is the zip code here, and the term it should be here pizza, so it will return back all the pizza locations around that zip code. So that's what I'm getting right now. So this is application, so I'm going to use this Java data and then display it inside our application. So just to lay out this application, I'll have three activity. The first activity is where I will have user search for it. My second activity, let's create the activity. I'm going to call it results activity. This is where all the results will be displayed in a list view, and I'll have one more activity, empty activity. This is where I will have more description, or let's say details activity. Now to make it pretty fast, what I've done is I've created some of the code already. All I'm going to do is copy paste that code, so it's not going to take a whole lot of time. So inside my activity main, first of all, let's create activity main. No, didn't paste it properly, didn't expect this to happen. So let's see, that messed up the layout of my XML file. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just try to create this by hand. So what all do I need inside my activity? I need a, first of all, let's see how it looks like. So nothing inside here right now. I'm going to add edit text first of all. So instead of adding all the things together, I'm going to add one at a time. Nope, still doesn't work, not sure what happened. So I'm going to add first of all an edit text. Okay, that's my edit text. I'm going to add a hint here, asking user what is he looking for, what are you looking for. That's the first field. Next I'm going to add a linear layout horizontal. Oops, wrong place, I guess I have not set this to vertical. uh, Orientation to vertical. Then okay, so this thing messed up now. Width should be match parent, height should be wrap. Okay, so there you go, that's perfect. Next I want a linear layout horizontal here, inside which I'm going to add another plain text, and I want to add a button. So didn't come out as I expected. So linear layout, want to add a edit text and a button. I'm going to give weights to them, so weights more like 1, and or maybe twice the weightage as compared to this guy. So display something like this, and inside here I'm gonna say current location, and this one, if he wants to enter the zip code by hand, I'll ask him to enter the zip code, or he can use current location for displaying his information. Next I'll add the search button, so that takes care of the entire implementation. I'll also give a little bit of margin to this guy, margin top of let's say 30 dp or so, so it stands out a little bit in the center. So what are you looking for? The location, current location. Now there are two different functions that I'm interested in. Before that, let me give a proper name for this. This is let's call it search term, and let's call the second guy, which is our second edit text, zip code. And then buttons, let's add some click events to it. On click, let's say get current location, and the second one on click search. Let's implement them inside the main activity. Get current location. So I'm just going to close the other ones because I don't need them right now, and I'll open them as and when I need them. So I've created the layout. Now to get users current location, first of all I need to add some permissions here. So going to need two permissions. One is course location, the find location. So these are the two different uh, things that I need for getting users location. The next thing that I have to do is I'll have to go inside the Gradle build. If you want to look at the previous videos of location, you'll probably find more of why am I doing this. I'm not going to go over them again. So I'm going to add the play services because I would need play services for this application to get users location. Once I have that, I'm going to create let's go to main activity, make sure that I have the two edit text. First one was the search term and the second one is zip code. I'm also going to create the Google API client which I will connect to get location request data. So I've created these two items here. Next thing that I want is to get the search term. I'm going to use that search term, get it from the layout file. Same thing for the zip code. Okay, that I think I called it zip code. And now next thing is get current location. Inside the get current location function, I'll have to connect to the Google API client. Just paste this code. So to connect to this, all I have to do is first of all specify that this is the code that I want to connect to Google API client. Okay, I guess this will not work. Let me do it manually. So let's say I'm Google API client equal to new Google API client. Oops, not new Google API client, but dot builder. This is what I need to access, and this need context. So I'm going to pass that. Next thing is I'll have to add the API that I'm interested in. The API that I'm interested is location services dot API, and let's specify connection callbacks. Who's going to take care of that current particular class? Who's going to take care of connection failure? This class itself, and then I'll say build. Once I'm done with this, I'll make sure that I connect to the Google API client. I'll have to make this guy at the same time implement again interface and implement, just so that I can make sure that someone is taking care of connection callbacks and failed listener, which is this particular activity. That's why I've implemented them inside here. Another thing that I need is location listener to be implemented, which will be calling on location change every time the location changes. So what should we do inside on connected? Now inside on connected, first of all, let's take the location request. So this will be called as soon as I'm connected to the Google API client. So I'm going to make a location request create object. Then using that, I will set the priority to, let's say, location request dot priority high accuracy. It's just test application, so why not? Location request dot set interval to 1 second. Every time the location changes, I'll get uh, updates using that. And then finally I'll go to the location services fused location API dot request location updates, and the Google API client have to pass. I have to pass the location request, and I have to pass who's gonna reply to this. So that's there. I'll have to add the permission check for, and this is specifically for Android M. So where is that error that I'm having? Trying to see where the error is there. Let's see, it's not displaying the error. Illegal character. Okay, so probably when I copy pasted something, it didn't like. Let's see, is there any other error? Okay, check for permission only for Android M. I'll check for permission. If it's not permission granted, then return, or else get request location updates. So once I get location updates, it's going to call on connection changed, on connection changed, on location change method. Inside this, I'm going to check if location does exist. If location doesn't exist, I'm going to show a toast message saying can't find location. So just this, can't get users location. Else I am going to get a list of, where am I typing? Okay, list of addresses. Okay, that's the one that I want. And let's say addresses equal to from, let's see, how do I get these addresses from? This addresses I can fetch from geocoder. So I'm going to create a geocoder instance and say geocoder. Okay, I think I pressed the button by mistake, but that's fine, let it run. New geocoder, and I'll pass this comma local. I can pass a local, so I'm going to say locale get default. That's what I want, the default locale, the local uh, field. And then from this I'm going to say geocoder dot get location, get from location, and I have location dot get latitude. Since I have so I'm trying to get the location from the latitude and longitude, so I'm going to say get longitude, and the number of items that I want, only one. This might go inside a try catch where there might be an IO exception. Other than that, let's get the address that we fetched, and that I can get from addresses dot get item at index 0 from here. Next I can just say zip code dot set text to whatever address I got dot get postal code. So this will give me zip code. Once I have the zip code, I don't need the location services API anymore. So I am going to ask it to remove location updates, and I'll send m Google API client to disconnect and current class. So that will disconnect my location services, and this should give me my current location. So let's run it and let's see if it does work. I have YQL API, looks like fine. Okay, now it's running. It's a current location, that's all we added. So it should get my location. I did not turn it on, so let's turn it to green belt. My location. Let's try one more time. Current location, and I have my zip code available here. So depending on what location you put, it will find your zip code. Food, search. Nothing happens when I click search because I've not added any code inside the search part. So inside search part, what I'm going to say is I'm going to create an intent equal to new intent, and here I'm going to pass the context and my next activity, which is the result class. Inside there now I'll have to pass my two things. One is the search term, and that I am getting from search term dot get text dot toString. I'm not adding much checks here because I'm expecting the user to be on God mode. That means he will enter all the information possible. If in real life you'll have to put a lot more test strings everywhere, because what if user doesn't enter postal code properly, it doesn't enter any search term, so you'll have to probably add some more toast messages and checks around this to string. So I have my both my, and then I'll just say start activity with that particular intent. So that will start my activity hopefully, and pass to the activity both the terms that user entered. So let it run, take it some time. Food, enter location, search, and I go to the next activity. Now that takes care of the first activity, so I'm going to just close everything on my first activity. Let's go to the second activity now, which is my results activity. Let me open the resource to results, and in here all I need to create is linear layout. I'm gonna make it orientation vertical. Don't need the padding. I will add a list view to this because it will display all my results in a list format, and I can find list right somewhere here. So this will display my results, and I guess that takes care of this particular activity. Also, I'll have to add inside manifest internet permission. Internet permissions, there you go. Have my internet permissions added. Next, once I'm done with that, let's see. So let's go back to my result activity.java class. Here, let me get a hold of that list view that I just created. List view, and then I'll say list view equal to find view by id r.id dot list view. So this will give me my list view. Once I have the list view, let's get the search term and zip code that I actually passed from the previous activity. Get intent dot get string extra. I passed search term. I think there was capital T. Just to cross check, I can always go here. Search term and postal code was passed. So create it something like this. And the second one was postal code, and that is passed using this. Oh, postal code. Okay, so I have my postal code and I have my search term. Next thing, I need to download the data from the URL. So I'll have to create a, let's say, what should I create? I should have to create a async task. So let's go ahead and create one more class, new Java class, and I'm going to call this guy, let's call this guy something fun, downloader extends async task. Now async task, I'll have to specify probably here what all different things is passed. So I'm going to say one is string, then I have integer for, let's say if I want to make a make a progress bar or something, and then it will pass back an array list of items. Also I have to implement do in background. Once I have that, let's create a way that I can get hold of the activity where I'm getting call, where it's calling this. So I'm going to call it activity, and to assign it I'm going to create a constructor downloader. I'm going to make it public downloader, and inside this I'll get the activity passed. Then I can say this dot activity equal to activity. So I have the activity where it's coming from. So inside my previous thing right here, to call that I have to say downloader equal to new downloader, and then pass the current activity because it needs the result activity. Next thing I'll do is I'll take the downloader and execute and pass search term and postal code along with it. Also, when it's done downloading, I want to display the results here, so I'm going to create a function here, public void, and call this function draw list view, and it will get an array list of, let's say, results object, results array. Now results is my custom Java object which I have to still create. So I'm going to right click, create class, and there you go, we have a results object. And inside this result object I want to add bunch of different things that I'm interested from the API. Let's say if I look at the API right here, I am interested in title, let's say address, city, state, phone, maybe latitude, longitude if I want to display map, and let's say distance and business URL. If it has business URL, so it can display the business URL in there. So if I'm interested in that, we create all these objects: string, address, city, state, phone, double, double, string, and string. So this looks perfect. I guess I might have some problems here because of the spacing. So let me prefix all this. Hopefully don't have any more problems. It does show that I have errors here. It's very difficult to copy paste these days, so I'm going to just go ahead and type them out. So I have string title, address, string city, state. I have city, state, phone. Take that as longitude, and latitude I'm gonna make it as latitude, double, longitude I'm gonna take them as double variables because that's how they used. I said that I'm gonna use the what is the distance, and I'm going to use the business URL. So these are things that I need. Now I need to create a constructor. So the easy way to create constructor is just say constructor, and I want all the values, and I have my constructor ready. So this is my results object. Let's go back to downloader and so results activity and see everything is perfect. Okay, this is perfect. This is once I get the data from the downloader, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take this and create an adapter here, and then set that adapter to the list view. So for now, first let's go download. So I'm going to go inside the downloader class, and inside the downloader class let's start some downloading. So first of all I need the URL. So I'm going to say YQL URL equal to, and the URL I can get it from right here. So I have the entire URL right now with me. The only thing changes is this term plus, and this comes from params, and I think that's the first object that is passed. And then I need to change the zip code because these two need to be dynamic. So there you go, plus plus params at location 1. The reason I said 0 and 1 because the strings is passed from this result activity. If you see the first object, 0th object is search term, the first is postal code, and that's what I used inside here. So once I have the URL, let's say let's start downloading. So first thing that I need to do is let's create a array list of all the results where I'll save the results in. So I'm going to call it, let's say, results array list equal to new array list, the type results. So I have that. Next, from the URL that I have, let's convert that into actual URL. The URL equal to new URL, and pass that YQL URL object to it. Let's add a try catch. Let's have try catch. Let's create a buffered reader to read the entire URL string inside it. Buffered reader, and give it a input stream reader, and that will take the URL dot open connection dot get input stream and of the type UTF-8 encoding. That should, I guess, take care of everything except for the another catch, IO exception and unsupported encoding exception. That will work perfectly fine. Now once I have this, I can just convert this reader into a read line. Okay, read line. So this entire buffered reader is converted into string. Now once I have the string, I'll have to convert everything inside JSON object. So I'll just say JSON object equal to new JSON object and pass that JSON string to it. So that will take care of that. Next thing, let's read the array. So to read the array, the first object that I have is query object. So I'm just going to create JSON object, query object. Now to fetch that from my JSON object, I'll have to say JSON object dot get JSON object, and the object is called what happened here. Oh yeah, catch clause for JSON exception. Next thing that I need was query. So I have my query. Now let's see, after query I have results, which is again another JSON object. So I'm going to say results object is results. I don't like to usually type it, so I just copy paste it just to make sure that I don't have any problems. Next thing that I have inside that is the results where all the objects exist. So that's a JSON array. So I am going to say JSON array results array equal to results object dot get JSON array, and the name of array was, let's copy paste this, result. So I have my entire result there. Now I have to go through each and every object inside the result array and then convert them into a result object. So to do that, I'm gonna write a for int I equal to 0, I is less than results array dot count or dot I think it's length I plus plus, and in here let's get that object JSON object. So I'm have to loop through each and every object. So I'm going to say single object equal to results array dot get JSON object at index I. So this will give me the first object, second, third, fourth, fifth, one at a time. So this runs a for loop. Now let's get all the items that we need to create this. So I'm just gonna copy paste them here. So these are different things that we are looking for. So I'm just gonna say single object dot get, because title is inside title, so I can just say get string. I don't know why is it not dot get string. Okay, there you go, title. To do the same thing for each and every one of them, except for some of them are, I guess, double, so I'll have to change it a little bit, but not much. So let's get everything first, address, and then we'll go ahead and fix the strings. And oops, I think I'm getting the value. City, state, phone, make sure they represent the proper value. Latitude is latitude. Oh, see, there you go. That might mess up something later on, so it's better to just look them up. Distance is, I think I spelled distance wrong, but that doesn't matter as I'm consistent with that spelling typo throughout my application. Business URL, actually business URL doesn't exist every single time, so what I'm going to do is I'll probably use the URL or click URL. Both of them look same, so I'm just going to use the URL, and so that takes care of everything except for this. Here, since I have to convert this string into double, I'll just use parse double method, and that will take care of my object here. Perfect. So I have all the different things that I need to create a results object. So that's what I'll do. Results, a result equal to new results, and I'll have to pass all these variables to it. So that's title, I have address, I have city, I have state, I have phone, I got latitude, I got longitude, I got distance or distance, and then business URL, which is actually the URL, but doesn't matter. I guess, as I mentioned, since it's longitude, latitude. So make sure that you're passing it in proper format the way you. So since it needs a longitude first and then the latitude, I'll pass it in that particular order. Now once I have that, all I have to do is go to my results array or results array list that I have initialized right here, and then to this results array I can add all these results. So they'll keep on adding one at a time, and at the end of it all I have is that results array list to pass. And who will catch this results array list? It will be cached by on post execute. So this guy has it, and he will call the activity. We'll add the progress bar and stuff later, but for now draw list view array list. So this will be passed to this method inside results activity, and this guy has to create the adapter. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause here and then start in the next video the rest of the things for adding adapter and stuff.